You always see those viral bird videos where owners can pet their bird, make them do tricks, eat vegetables, and get them in and out of their cage without a problem. Who wouldn't want their pet bird to be so tamed and trusting? Here is everything you need to know on how to take care of your bird and make it your best friend. One of the main reasons people choose to own budgies as pets is because they're small, cute, and if you'll tame them, they can be your best friend, with lots of cuddling, scratching, and fooling around. Taming a budgie is a process. It can take anywhere between a week to a month, and this mostly depends on your budgie's age. The younger it will be, the easier it will be to tame. How do you tame a budgie? Before you start taming your budgie, there are two things you should not do. 1. Do not get your budgie out of its cage before it knows how to step on your finger. If you do this, you're risking losing its trust quickly, as it will try to fly away from you and you'll have to chase and grab it. And 2. Do not tame more than one budgie inside a cage. If you'll try to tame 2 or more budgies together, it will not work for you as they will distract each other and won't cooperate. The most essential part of taming is millet spray. That's what your budgie thinks at least. The idea is to get your budgie to step on your finger and reward it with millet. You can start by introducing your budgie to millet so it knows how tasty it is. Start by encouraging your budgie to step up by pushing very gently on its chest. After your budgie steps up, you can place it back on its perch and reward it with a millet seed. From now on, it's a repetitive process of stepping up, placing it back on its perch, and giving it a bite of millet. And remember, tame your budgie only inside the cage until it knows how to step up, and only then you can tame it outside on the T-stand, like I do. If your budgie flies away from your finger inside the cage, take your finger out and let it return to its perch, and then continue. If your budgie refuses to cooperate with you, this means that your budgie doesn't trust you yet, and it's not ready to be tamed. Click here to find out how to easily gain your budgie's trust. One final tip is not to overtame your budgie. If your budgie is showing signs that it's exhausted, like starting to preen itself or looks distracted, it's time to stop for the day and continue tomorrow. Your bird can be the friendliest, most trusting, and loving pet for years. But it takes only one small mistake to break it all apart. Once your bird loses trust in you, it will start biting, it won't eat from your hand anymore, and most importantly, it won't let you get close to it and even start to fear you. Rebuilding that relationship might be a long process, as birds known to hold grudges. So here are 4 things you should never do to your bird. Never force your bird. Just because your bird loves to get scratches, it doesn't mean that it always wants to be scratched. If your bird is showing signs that it's uncomfortable with your pets, like warning with its beak or trying to avoid your finger, never force it to get a scratch. Same for feeding your bird. If your bird won't open its beak for a treat that it's usually happy to munch on, don't try to force feed it. Never grab your bird. Attempting to grab your bird for whatever reason can be an instant trust breaker. Birds hate to be grabbed unwillingly, and will most likely begin to hate you and fear you if you'll do so. Now, I know, there are some situations that require us to grab our birds, like taking it to a vet or holding it for a checkup or treatment. If you need to grab your bird for emergency purposes, you can try to avoid losing its trust by grabbing it with gloves or a thin towel, so your bird won't recognize your hand and won't link them to you. Never punish your bird. To those of you who wonder, how do you punish a bird? Well, people punish their birds in various ways, and this is very wrong. Some punish by returning their birds to the cage after their birds have done something bad, like biting. Others cover their birds' cages so they will stay in the dark for hours, thinking it will teach the bird a lesson. And some even hid their birds, which is the best way to make your bird your enemy. So never attempt any of those ways of disciplining your bird. If your bird is biting, for example, the best way to make it stop is to actually do nothing. You need to ignore your bird and it will stop. Never yell or scream on your bird. If your bird's done something that you're not happy with, shouting at it is a bad idea. Your bird might not understand that you're swearing at it or calling it names, but it will link your tone to something negative. And not only that you may lose your bird's trust, but your bird will actually become more aggressive and do more bad things on purpose because of your reaction. Birds don't always want to free roam outside, and a parakeet may be reluctant to leave the security of his cage. However, it can't live there all the time. It needs exercise. Unless you have a massive aviary, a cage is way too small to be a permanent full-time residence for your bird. And here are 5 ways to help you get your bird outside of its cage. Just a quick reminder before we start with the tips. Make sure your room is bird-proof. No open windows, exposed wires, or places your bird may be trapped in. Follow the mirror. If you've ever shown your bird a mirror, you probably know that it acts like it's almost magnetized to it, and you can totally use that for your favor when getting your bird out of its cage. Just open your bird's cage door, grab a small mirror, and start to show your bird its reflection. The next step is to start moving the mirror towards the cage opening, and your bird will follow the mirror to the outside of the cage in a matter of seconds. Get a playground. Maybe your bird does want to go outside, but it just doesn't have a comfortable place to land on. Everything looks big and unfamiliar to your bird's eyes, so that's why you need a playground next to its cage. That way your bird will feel more secure and invited to fly outside. I'll leave links in the description for some nice playgrounds that my birds use. Seduce it. Maybe one of the most obvious ways to get your bird to do things is by encouraging it with treats. You can just take millet spray or any other treat that your bird likes and place it near the opening of its cage using a clothespin. And the next step is just to wait for your bird to go for its treat. The moment it will notice that the cage door is open from close by, it's very likely to start exploring the outside. Place a perch at the opening. To make things easy on your bird, you can place a perch right in front of the cage door. Some birds don't realize how to move forward when it comes to leaving their cage. So that's a great way to help your bird to simply get out of its cage. Remove anything scary. Sometimes birds find toys that their owners hang in their cages scary. There are a lot of cases that a bird does want to get out, but it's just terrified from a toy that's nearby. So before expecting your bird to fly outside, make sure you did not put anything in its area that prevents it from starting to free roam. It's needless to say that it's not recommended to let a bird out of its cage before it's tamed, because it will be difficult to get your bird back inside the cage afterwards, and you may lose its trust even more during that process. Just because birds are omnivores, it doesn't mean they can eat all varieties of vegetables, fruits, and greens. Some food can slowly and painfully kill your pet bird. In this video, we will talk about the most common foods that should never be fed to birds. Tomatoes. This fruity vegetable is considered safe, and many owners regularly feed their birds tomatoes. However, many veterinarians recommend not offering tomatoes to birds because they're an acidic fruit and can cause stomach and digestive problems. Peanuts. Many large birds consume peanuts on a daily basis as a part of their food mix. However, peanuts are considered very fattening and can cause a lot of health problems if not given as a treat only. Cheese. While plenty of parrot owners swear that it's fine to give their pet parrot a bit of cheese every now and then, the truth is that it isn't the case. Parrots, like all birds, are extremely lactose intolerant. They cannot break down dairy, which means you should avoid even small amounts. Mushrooms. Your bird simply can't digest mushrooms properly. Their stems and caps can even cause liver failure. Do not let your pet bird consume raw or cooked mushrooms. Uncooked beans. Cooked beans are a favorite treat of many birds, but raw and dry beans can be extremely harmful to your pet bird. Uncooked beans contain poison, which can be very toxic to your bird. Raw onions and garlic. Onions, in every form, are dangerous for parrots. You should never feed your parrot anything from the onion family, including shallots, garlic, chives, and leeks. This also includes powdered onion. Fruit seeds. The seeds of apple and the pits of cherries, peaches, plums, pears, apricots, and nectarines are all unsafe to give to your birds. They contain varying levels of a cyanide compound that can eventually lead to death. Human food. Although your bird may beg for the food you're eating, the truth is that human food is just unhealthy and could be dangerous as it contains extremely high levels of salt, fat, and sugar. You should honestly avoid giving your bird any kind of human food. Chocolate. This one is pretty obvious. Chocolate is not good for many kinds of animals, and that includes birds. It contains toxins and caffeine, which can harm your bird instantly. Avocado. Another popular food that many owners already know to avoid is avocado. Don't allow your bird to consume guacamole or other avocado products. It's known to cause cardiac distress and eventual heart failure in pet birds and parrots. Just like every person you know is different, birds also have their unique personality. Some are calm while others are energy bombs. Some are aggressive and some are naturally friendly. And there are birds that are a combination of everything. Knowing your bird's personality type can help you better understand your bird and appreciate how it views the world. Here are the top 5 personality types that birds have. The skittish bird. Pet birds aren't always happy and social. Some are even extremely anxious and shy. They can have an insecure personality, and any sudden movement freaks them out. If your bird is overly alert for most of the time, and is always suspecting something or someone, then you have a skittish bird. The crazy bird. Pet birds are usually quite social and active, especially if they're well cared for. If your bird loves to hang around you, chirp your ears out, jump and fly and beg for the food you're eating like a maniac, then you know you have a crazy bird. Crazy birds tend to trust their owners. They don't mind being held or grabbed, and they definitely don't care if you get mad at them. They just want to play and stay energized throughout the day. The quiet bird. This is also a common personality trait with birds. If you have a few birds, then you most likely also have a quiet bird. Quiet birds are loners. They don't chirp much, and even if they do, they would usually only make one sound. They also don't like moving around as much as other birds. They're more into resting on their favorite perch and not playing too often. The quiet bird is also known to be territorial, and they can even be aggressive if someone is getting into their personal space. The angry bird. Some birds are known to being overly protective and temperamental, even more than cats sometimes. The angry bird will always try to bite and won't love it when you invade its territory. It will act like the boss towards you and also towards its mates. And it will always look like it's pissed and unsatisfied. The friendly bird. This is the stereotypical friendly bird who loves everybody, and it's usually the result of a bird who was well socialized as a chick. Friendly birds are happy and fun to be around. They will hang around kids and other members of the household with little to no fear at all. Birds make great pets. The way to their heart can be a bit difficult as they're so stubborn. But once you've earned their trust, it will feel so good to know that a little feathered ball loves you and allows you to cuddle and pet it. These 10 tips will help you to get your bird to love you. Spend time with it. If you want your bird to love you and to get used to you, you have to keep its cage in the room that you spend most of your time in. And also to allow your bird some time outside of its cage, so it can hang out with you. Share with it. The best way to make your bird look at you as if you were a part of its flock is to share food with it. If you're eating an apple or any other food that is bird safe, try to make chewing sounds and let your bird share the meal with you. Baby talk it. Another way to earn your bird's affection is to talk to it like you would with a baby.
This is a pretty bird. Yeah. You like to jump.
Whenever you're addressing your bird, try making high-pitched voices that will grab its attention.
Pretty buddy. Wow.
And if you'll repeat the same words every day, you might even teach it how to talk.
Baby bird, just a baby bird.
Buy it with treats. If you'll make your bird realize that you are the source of the yummy stuff, it will immediately fall in love with you. That is guaranteed. So in every chance you have, try offering it its favorite treat or even its regular seed mix. Just make sure it takes it from your own hands. Groom it. Birds love grooming each other as a part of their flock habits. So if your bird lets you touch it and also enjoying getting scratches, by all means go for it. But if it's not into it and doesn't want your hands on it, do not force it. Take it while it's young. It's not a secret that if you'll take a young bird and raise it into an adult, it will be much easier to make it love you. So if you don't have a bird yet, or you're planning on getting another one, take it while it's young. Keep it happy. If you want your bird to love you, you must do your absolute best to prevent it from getting bored or depressed. A bored bird will have a hard time bonding with you. So it's important to have enough toys and different kinds of foods that will make it busy and stimulated. Be gentle with it. Birds are very intelligent, but they won't understand you if you're impatient with them. If you're forcing your bird to doing things it doesn't want, it will really hate you for that. So be patient and gentle with it while taming and handling it. Tame it often. Taming your bird is a necessary part in making it love you. You'll both spend a lot of time together while taming. and your bird will also get lots of treats after following commands. It's a great way to bond and make your bird trust you. Let it rest. Giving your bird a break from taming and playing, and even just from hanging out with you, is also important. You don't want to overdo the bonding part, because birds are known to be free spirits, and they'll want to have some time for themselves too. It's been a long time that I've avoided filming this video because clipping a bird's nails is never a pretty sight. And with that being said, you should always take your bird to a vet for nail clipping, since the process can be quite dangerous. It takes your bird to lose about 12 drops of blood before it starts dying. But if you really have no choice, you can carefully do it from home. Before you start clipping your bird's nails, make sure to prepare some cornstarch nearby in case your bird does start bleeding. If you cut the vein, the best way to stop the bleeding is to dip the nail in dry cornstarch for a few seconds. The perfect time to clip your bird's nails is in the evening when it's sleepy. Start with restraining your bird using a towel and make sure your bird has space for breathing and that you're not squeezing it. It's also super important to have someone help you, as you can't really do it on your own without risking your bird's life. One can hold it and the other can trim the nails. To start cutting your bird's nails, you'll need either a human nail clipper or a pet nail clipper, like the ones I'm using. But never use regular scissors or something else. The most important part before cutting your bird's nails is to identify the vein. So you can just hold your bird's foot up to the light, and that way you can easily see its veins. No matter how long your bird's nails are, you want to cut only the short point on the edge of each nail. If your bird's nails are dark and you can't see the vein, you can use a nail filer just to file the nail and prevent snipping your bird's veins. But I really don't recommend cutting it from home, because when you can't see it, you can easily miss it. Your bird might start wiggling and squeezing its foot, which makes it harder for you to stay still. But it's important that you take your time and have a good grip before each cut. After you're done with the clipping, just let your bird back into its cage and offer it a treat from your hand to make up with it, because you obviously made it go through such a stressful situation. Many bird owners think that sandpaper perches will prevent their bird's nails from overgrowing, while it's actually not effective at all, and can even do more harm than good by peeling the healthy layers of your bird's skin. So I recommend on just having thick and natural wood perches to maintain your bird's nails, and every once in a while to take your bird to nail trimming at the vets, or of course, do so carefully from home. Remember the day you got your bird for the first time? You probably thought your relationship would look like this. But it actually turned out to be the complete opposite. Your bird is biting you and hurting you, and that may be a big letdown. Well, good news! Here are 3 ways to stop your bird from biting. Ignore, don't react. The most recommended way of handling a biting bird is simply to ignore it. We all know that it can be very painful when your bird bites, especially if it's a big one. But experts still suggest that when a bird bites, the owner should not react at all. Try your hardest not to make a sound, or to pull your hand, or even to shake the bite off. If you'll be doing so, you may be giving the bird the reaction it was looking for. Your bird bites you every time because it knows it hurts, and that's what's keeping you away. So the best way to prevent future bites is just to show your bird that its bites don't affect you. Use protection. If you can't control yourself from not reacting to a bite, or if your bird is a big one and can cause some serious damage with its beak, you should think of using protection while handling it. Instead of using your finger as a perch for your biting bird, try to use an actual perch. That way, your bird won't be able to bite you. And you can also try to use gloves, whatever ones you have. Only use the gloves for perching your bird, and not for grabbing or holding it, because your bird will hate you for that. Distract it. If you know your bird is about to bite, you can try to distract it by offering it a treat or a toy. The trick here is to provide distractions, and your bird will forget that it even wanted to bite you in the first place. And that will also cheer it up, and make it less aggressive towards you. It is very important to make sure that you are providing a treat before it bites you and not after. Otherwise, your bird might think it's being rewarded for biting. Don't forget that every bird has its own personality, and some can be less friendly or hormonal, which may result in biting. You can also click here for 5 reasons your bird may bite you to learn more on how to avoid triggering your bird. Online and local pet stores often sell us items that are thought to be safe for birds. But in reality, many things that are marked as safe for birds aren't really safe, and some can even be dangerous and deadly. It's our responsibility to handpick very carefully what enters our bird's cage and what doesn't. Mirrors are something that you don't want to have inside your bird's cage. Birds are always attracted to mirrors, and you can find a mirror toy in any pet store. Your bird can even spend hours looking at their own reflection, chirping and feeding it. However, when your bird is looking at itself in the mirror, it doesn't see it as a reflection, but it actually thinks that it's seeing another bird in front of it. And that can develop over-regurgitating and aggressiveness, because your bird isn't getting the attention it wants. But it is okay to let your bird play with mirrors outside of the cage from time to time. Just don't hang it inside its cage. While it sounds cute to put your bird inside a cozy tent, it could actually cause serious behavioral and hormonal problems, and since it's mostly not made from safe materials, it can also be deadly for your bird. Anything that looks like or feels like a nest shouldn't be inside your bird's cage, unless you wish to breed them. And that includes coconut toys and empty white feeding bowls. Sleeping tents are usually made out of materials that aren't safe for your bird to chew on, and that's another reason to keep them away from your bird's cage. Ropes and bells are one of the most popular toys for birds, yet only recently, more and more owners started to become aware of how dangerous these toys are for their pets. Some call them the silent killers. When your bird chews on its rope, it swallows tiny bits of fibers that go down its crop and get stuck there without being able to go out. And this could eventually kill your bird out of nowhere. It goes the same way for bells, which can cause lead poisoning if chewed or licked too often. Although it's always great to give your budgies fruits and vegetables, it also needs to be fresh and thrown away after 2 to 3 hours tops, depending on the weather. Giving a cucumber or carrot is healthy for your bird. But when it becomes like this after a couple of hours, it should immediately be removed as it develops bacteria and is lacking all nutrients. Owners often place a nesting box inside their bird's cage when there is no need for that. You should only place a nesting box when you want to breed your birds, and only when they're in the right age to be bred. Nesting box is not the place for your birds to sleep inside, and placing it inside a cage for a young couple that you wish to breed in the future is a bad idea, as it can hurt the entire breeding process. We all want our birds to eat veggies and fruit, but that's not always an easy task. Birds can be stubborn when it comes to healthy food, and they will prefer seeds over veggies anytime. and that can really shorten their lifespan. Here are 5 ways to make your bird eat veggies and fruits. Sprinkle seeds. The first way to make your bird eat healthy is to sprinkle the regular seeds over the veggie or fruit you wish to give them. This way, you're fooling your bird into eating their regular seeds and tasting the healthy food at the same time, until they get used to the flavor of the veggies and start eating them without seeds on top. Pretend to be eating. Pet birds usually follow the behavior of their flock members, and our birds definitely consider us as a part of their flock. So if you'll grab a veggie and start pretending to be eating it in front of your bird, and even add some chewing sounds like you're enjoying the veggie, your bird is very likely to get interested and even taste it. Wet food, don't care. Birds like to play with their food, and even bathe in it. A perfect way to get your bird to try some herbs, or other healthy food, is to wash it and keep it wet. So your bird will start nibbling on the water and even bathe inside while grabbing some bites of it. Cut into thin slices. Some birds like their veggies cut into cubes, others like it very thin, and some even like it grated. It's all about finding out what's your bird's favorite texture of the veggie. My birds like thin slices so they can easily bite through them. Start at a young age. Just like taming a bird at a younger age is sure to bring the best results, you should also get your bird used to veggies and fruits from a very young age. Chicks are just more open and trusting than adult birds. They are less stubborn and more willing to try new things.
Getting your budgie back into its cage can be quite tricky, especially if it's untamed and stubborn like most budgies are. There are a few methods to make your budgie go back inside its cage, and you absolutely don't want to chase and grab it to make it happen. The time to sleep method. This is actually one of the most efficient ways to get your budgie back into its cage. Your budgie's cage needs to be in your budgie's side to make this method work. Grab a night light, or just use your phone's screen light, and place it as close as possible to your budgie's cage. And then turn off the lights in the room, or just close the curtains if it's daylight outside. Once the room is dark, and there is only one source of light coming from the area of your budgie's cage, your budgie's natural instinct would be to fly back into its cage for sleep. The seduction method. Your budgie probably has a favorite treat, whether it's millet spray or some kind of vegetable. Use this to seduce it back into its cage. Show your budgie the treat and make sure it keeps looking at it when you place it inside the cage. Then simply walk away and wait for your budgie to take the bait. Once your budgie enters the cage and enjoying its treat, quickly and calmly close the door. The it should work method. If you have time and you're not in a hurry to get your budgie back into its cage, you can also just leave its food bowl inside the cage instead of outside, and simply wait until it gets hungry and will have no other choice besides going back home. This will also help your budgie feel that it's not forced to get back into its cage, but that it's actually doing it willingly. And remember, no matter which method you'll go for, always reward your budgie with a treat as soon as it goes into its cage, so it encourages it for the next time.